This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Friday, the 3rd day of November in the year 2023. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting. Now here's what we're tracking tonight. The International Court of Justice has announced that it will hold public hearings in the Guyana versus Venezuela case on the 14th of November to deal specifically with Guyana's request to block a number of questions in Venezuela's upcoming referendum on the border controversy. In a statement today, the ICJ explained that Guyana, in its request, said the government of Venezuela, through its National Electoral Council, has published a list of 5 questions that it intends to put before the people of Venezuela in a consultative referendum to take place on the 3rd of December. The ICJ said, according to the applicant, Guyana, the purpose of the referendum is to obtain responses that would support Venezuela's decision to abandon the current proceedings before the court and to resort instead to unilateral measures to resolve the controversy with Guyana by formally annexing and integrating into Venezuela all of the territory at issue in the proceedings, which comprises more than 2/3 of Guyana. The court said the hearings will take place at the Peace Palace in The Hague. Guyana has asked the ICJ to hear its application as a matter of urgency ahead of the planned December 3rd referendum. Guyana and a number of international organizations have rejected the planned Venezuelan referendum, which the government of Guyana believes could be used to annex Guyana's Essequibo region. Guyana decided to seek the provisional measures to block the questions in the referendum, since the matter on the border controversy remains before the International Court of Justice. In the initial stage of the substantive case before the ICJ, Venezuela questioned the court's jurisdiction to hear and determine the border matter. The court dismissed Venezuela's objection and has moved ahead with the case. The government of Guyana has said that it has no doubt of the validity of the arbitral award and the land boundary which Venezuela accepted and recognized as the international boundary for more than 60 years. Earlier this week, Prime Minister of Guyana, Mark Phillips, appeared before the Permanent Council of the Organization of American States to inform the OAS of the latest with Venezuela and the border controversy. He also raised the issue of the referendum and Guyana's move to the International Court of Justice.
We are therefore vigilant of the intentions and implications of the impending referendum. Venezuela could be seeking to establish the foundations for actions aimed at the annexation of 2/3 of Guyana's territory, although the matter of the resolution of the controversy is quite properly before the ICJ. Coupled with the decision to conduct this referendum, it is confirmed that Venezuela has significantly increased its military forces and equipment on its border with Guyana. While the position of the government of Venezuela, which was communicated to Guyana, is that the security forces have been mobilized on the border to curb illegal mining, there have also been reports of the Venezuelan military building a landing strip in a zone near to the Essequibo region. No explanation about the airstrip has been provided to the government of Guyana, but it is clear that it is the intention of that state to increase rhetoric on the controversy and drive fear in the Guyanese population.
Other members of the OAS also made clear their support of Guyana.
My government supports Guyana's sovereign right to develop its own natural resources. The United States finds efforts to infringe upon Guyana's sovereignty unacceptable. The United States supports a peaceful resolution to this issue, whether through the decision of an international judicial body or agreement of the parties. With this in mind, we call on Venezuela to respect international law, including the 1899 arbitral award, as well as the ongoing International Court of Justice process between Guyana and Venezuela.
CARICOM reaffirms that international law strictly prohibits the government of one state from unilaterally seizing, annexing, or incorporating territory of another state. An affirmative vote, as aforesaid, opens the door to the possible violation of this fundamental tenet of international law. It is to be emphasized that the land and water in question, the Essequibo region of Guyana, comprises more than two-thirds of the whole of Guyana itself. CARICOM notes that language of two questions approved to be posed in a referendum seeks an affirmation and implementation of Venezuela's stance on the issue by all means according to and within the law.
CARICOM, the OAS, and the Commonwealth have all come out in full support of Guyana and have effectively rejected the referendum and Venezuela's claims to Guyana's territory. More news coming up in just a moment.
My lord, I just love to shop in this store. My customers, them gonna love all these things. So many different things in one place. Household items, electronics, toys, stationery, confectionery, exercise equipment, shoes and clothes for men, women and children, school things, costume, jewelry, perfume, makeup. Oh, look the makeup.
Giftland Office Max, Guyana's favorite department store.
It's your time to win big. The Massey Store's Christmas jackpot promotion is back and bigger than before. Spend $5,000 at any Massey stores to be the lucky winner of a brand new MGZS and fantastic weekly store prizes from now until January 31st, 2024. What are you waiting for? Head to your nearest Massey stores to shop now. See our Facebook and Instagram pages for more details. Massey Stores, our family serving your family.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Bust the flavors. We're full of flavors. Bust the flavors that me crave for. We're full of flavors. Tell your neighbors about the bust the flavors. Grab a bust the flavors. Yeah, thirst buster. Grab a buster. Bust the flavor, taste the savor. Bust the flavors. Bust the flavors.
Let's tell you now that Opposition Member of Parliament Royce Dilford wants the government of Guyana to provide more answers regarding the build-up of Venezuelan military troops near Guyana's border and the influx of thousands of undocumented Venezuelans into the country. He said there is an urgent need for better management of the country's border with Venezuela.
Guyanese need to know what is the response of the government of Venezuela to a letter dispatched by the Ali government inquiring about its military presence on Guyana's land, since they have no legal jurisdiction over it or is part of any legitimate partnership.
Prime Minister Mark Phillips informed the Organization of American States this week that there continues to be a buildup of Venezuelan troops close to Guyana's border. He also raised alarm over the Venezuelan military's constructing of an airstrip in a location close to the border. The opposition member of parliament Royce Dilford has raised concern over a recent meeting between Vice President Barra Jagdeo and some members of the Venezuelan community in Guyana. While accusing the vice president of making a mess of the situation, the opposition MP called on the president to take control of the management of the issues surrounding the country's border.
A military presence and ratcheting up support via referendum to ownership, albeit without merit, to two-thirds of our territory have created concern and understandable unease among the Guyanese people, in the absence of further information from the government.
But at a recent press conference, Vice President Barra Jagdeo said the majority of the Venezuelans coming to Guyana have Guyanese roots and are simply in search of a better life.
They come here because they feel that they can have a better life back in the country. Maybe they were not born here, they speak Spanish, but their parents came from here. They have a connection here. And the majority of them who are here come from that. They're cut from that cloth. They're people, our people. They have Guyanese blood.
Mr. Jagdeo, however, said that Guyana is closely monitoring its borders and the Guyana versus Venezuela border case currently before the ICJ.
You've seen all the statements coming out from the government of Guyana on the border issue. We're ensuring that these statements are consistent with our case at the ICJ, that our lawyers review these statements too. We are ensuring that our statements have national support through a consultative mechanism with the opposition.
Vice President Jagdeo said Guyana has not shifted from its position that the 1899 arbitral award that defined the border between Guyana and Venezuela remains valid.
We are not moving away from the ICJ process that is supported by the global community. We've seen strong statements on their referendum coming out from the international community. At the OAS, you would have followed the debates at the OAS in CARICOM, and a statement from the Secretary General of the Commonwealth.
However, he made it clear that Guyana will not respond to every statement coming out of Venezuela, but remains confident in the case before the International Court. Minister within the Ministry of Public Works, Deodat Indar, has announced that the Guyana Power and Light Company will be taking legal action against persons and/or companies that damage transmission lines and utility poles, resulting in significant damage to the electric grid. He said those responsible for such damages will be held accountable.
We are charging them now, and we're making sure that we take them to court. If persons are going to operate and damage things, public utilities, and cause others to be discomforted, we have to take action.
The minister explained that while the power company presently does not have the capacity to meet the current peak demand of 172 megawatts of electricity, not all of the power outages are as a result of that shortfall. He says some power outages are as a result of accidents and fires.
In Region 3, some excavators swing and hit the high voltage wire. That was 13,800 volts, right? It feed back in the Kingston plant, damaged 3D engines. One excavator swing and hit the high voltage wire. What happens when you have that high voltage going through? It feeds back into the substation. The substation shuts down to protect itself. But the damaged 3D engines.
In that particular case, 2 of the 3 engines totaled 11 megawatts of power, resulting in thousands of customers being knocked off the grid, though no fault of the power company, he said. And citing another example, the minister said at Friendship on the east bank of the Marara, thousands of customers were plunged into darkness when a bamboo fell on the electrical lines.
Last time we had another issue, somebody got caught in bamboo, the back of Friendship, burned down something, caught the bamboo, it fall on the 69,000 volts, feed back into garden, we didn't damage up all the engines down there. Because it's high voltage. You gotta now bring up back these engines, this damage, that, you gotta fix, change out parts. Whilst that is happening, thousands of customers out of power. So that is insult to injury.
He said persons or companies engaging in construction must notify the power company, adding that it is important for companies to have on-site safety officers who would provide much-needed guidance to avoid damage to the electrical grid.
John Lewis Styles has opened a new department, now offering home goods. Here you can find quality sheets and towels, pillows, blankets, and even bath mats and shower curtains. Organize your laundry with clothes baskets, fabric steamers, irons, and ironing boards. For the kitchen we have small appliances, towels and mittens, pot sets and dinner sets too. Decorate the house with mirrors, picture frames, floating shelves, and decorative pillows. All these and more on Waterloo Street. It's fashion for the home. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
So champ, I passed here last week and this shop lock up tight. Why? We come down with the flow, so we have to take a couple days.
I can't deal with them kind of setbacks, Bano. I just get a headache when you see I can't make me little bread.
I know them ways, champ. But thank God for NIS.
NIS? What you got to do now with NIS?
I mean, what I got to do with NIS? I registered as self-employed and I make monthly contributions to NIS. Oh. So you see, for them days I lose, NIS pay me back for most of them days.
What? That is good. You know, I always used to believe that it's only people in big offices and so they pay NIS.
Nah, man. NIS for any working person between the ages of 16 to 60. And as self-employed, you get all the benefit as an employee, except for industrial benefits.
So what I gotta do for set up this thing?
All you gotta do is visit NIS on Breakdown, or if you're living out of town, you can visit any NIS closest to your location. And once you register and your registration complete, you can start making NIS contributions.
Alright, so what I gotta work with and like how much money I gotta pay a month?
Man, I ain't gotta work with no big money. All you gotta work with is your birth certificate and any farm ID. And when you reach down there, ask for the compliance department.
Good. Thanks for the information, bro. As soon as I left here, I went straight to the NIS office.
For further information, please visit the website at www.nis.org.gy, the National Insurance Scheme Facebook page, or your nearest NIS office.
I am Avinash Narayan.
First met Avinash through one of my friends, and it was an instant meeting between two souls.
Crystal is a genuine person. She loves fashion.
He's one of those souls that once you meet him, it's hard not to love him.
My grandmother, my mother, and her eldest sister, they were seamstresses. And I guess that's where my inspiration came from. It was very hard for me coming out to my family. Back then, being gay wasn't accepted. There is still a lot of stigma and discrimination attached to us. But at the end of the day, I'm human just like you are.
It's important for me to be an ally on such an important topic because he's my friend. He's also a human being and everybody needs support.
The government has withdrawn another $20.8 billion from the Natural Resources Fund. The Ministry of Finance, in making the disclosure today, said the withdrawal was done in accordance with the Natural Resource Fund Act and the approved 2023 budget. The statement said in accordance with that act and the approved budget, the government has made its sixth transfer, totaling $100 million or the equivalent $20.8 billion Guyana dollars from the Natural Resource Fund. It was done on the 24th of October and transferred to the Consolidated Fund. While considering this year's budget, the National Assembly approved just over $208.9 billion Guyana dollars to be withdrawn from the Natural Resource Fund for this year. The Finance Ministry said the latest transfer brings the accumulated withdrawals to date for this year to $156 billion. In August and September, the government withdrew $41.6 billion from the oil fund. According to the Minister of Finance, Dr. Ashney, saying the government has been using the money to finance national development priorities in accordance with the Natural Resource Fund Act. The University of Guyana has announced that it has launched an investigation into alleged statements made by a part-time lecturer during a classroom session, declaring that it is appalled by the inappropriate conversation which has been making the rounds on social media. The university said the evidence and the circumstances surrounding the conversation are now being investigated by the Department of Law at the university. Although the matter is on the probe, the university said the type of behavior is unacceptable and is against the university's policies, principles, and culture. The recorded conversation is believed to have taken place in a law class, and the part-time lecturer being referred to is attorney and chartered accountant Christopher Ram. During the recording, a voice believed to be that of Christopher Ram could be heard making references to the conduct of the Elections Commission of Inquiry and the Madhya Commission of Inquiry, as well as the conduct of officials. The university said the matter will be addressed to the full extent of its authority. The University of Guyana also said it finds it deeply regrettable that the matter first found its way into the public domain rather than through the internal channels, which would have made the investigation and any disciplinary actions much quicker. The matter was first thrown into the public space by business consultant Joel Bagwandin, who Christopher Ram recently called out for several statements on various economic and accounting matters.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyoil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyoil's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyoil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
Sorry.
Jack?
Hey.
Boys, where you going with all that speed?
Yo, today's the 15th. My NIS contributions are due, and I ain't even get the forms as yet.
Hold on. You mean to tell me that you're not aware that all self-employed persons can now make their NIS contributions using the MMG app from the comforts of their homes and offices?
Really? You know, I just pay my bills using MMG, you know?
Yes, Jack, and the thing's simple. All you have to do is open the app, select Pay Bills, Government Services, NIS, and Pay. They will prompt you to enter your NIS number, the month you're paying for, and the amount.
So I don't need to submit any form?
The only time you submit in a form is when you're making a claim.
Wait, I could make a claim too?
Oh, no, man, you didn't know that? Yes, all self-employed persons are entitled to all benefits from NIS. Well, except for the industrial benefits. And here's the good part. All of their forms, you can download them from the NIS website.
Well, girl, I'm really glad I bumped into you.
Anyhow, make sure you pay your bills later.
Later? I gotta sit down right here and pay my contributions first.
Take care.
For further information, please visit the website at www.nis.org.gy, the National Insurance Scheme Facebook page, or your nearest NIS office.
Food Max Supermarket, located on the ground floor of the Giftland Mall, is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. We stock a variety of imported frozen meat and food products, fresh produce, and pet supplies, freshly made bread. Rotisserie chicken and patties are also available daily. Shop in comfort today at Food Max and let our courteous staff assist you in satisfying your shopping needs. Food Max, the fresh food specialist.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Look who's in the mix now. The new Buster Soda Water. 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 artificial flavors. 100% refreshing. Taste Buster Soda Water today. Buster Soda Water, now available for only $120.
With your regional and international news tonight, I'm Svetlana Marshall. In the region, all 14 Caribbean Community CARICOM member states voted in favor of a resolution of the UN General Assembly, which calls for an end to the United States economic and trade embargo against Cuba, which was first imposed in 1960. The resolution's full title is The Necessity of Ending the Economic, Commercial and Financial Embargo Imposed by the United States of America against Cuba. A total of 187 states voted for the resolution put forward each year against the embargo, with only the US and Israel voting against and Ukraine abstaining. The CARICOM countries which voted in favor of the resolution were Antigua and Barbuda, the Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Haiti, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname and Trinidad and Tobago. The Assembly voiced concern that despite its resolutions dating back to 1992, the economic, commercial and financial embargo against Cuba is still in place, notwithstanding the adverse effects of such measures on the Cuban people and on Cuban nationals living in other countries. The General Assembly reiterated its call for all states to refrain from applying such restrictive laws and measures in line with their obligations under the UN Charter and international law. The absence of clearly outlined terms and conditions, the small size of projects and weak implementation by governments have been identified as some of the main obstacles to Barbados and other Caribbean states attracting more private sector investment in developing renewable energy sector, according to a Barbados Today report. The barriers were highlighted on Thursday, day 2 of the 3-day Caribbean Energies and Investment Forum, which is being held in Barbados under the theme Sustainable Energy Paths for the Caribbean. The Caribbean Development Bank CDB Director of Projects, Therese Turner-Jones, argued that the absence of a clear playing field is making it difficult for the private sector to enter the space. Turner-Jones, who was speaking during a panel discussion on the topic Financing Resilience and Climate Adaptation, the Role of Governments and Multilaterals, said investors expected that things would be done within the promised time frame, and they wanted policies clearly outlined for the sector. And finally tonight, international news. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said there will be no temporary ceasefire with Hamas in Gaza until all Israeli hostages are released. BBC News report said he gave a televised address after talks with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who called for humanitarian pauses in the fighting to help protect civilians. Meanwhile, Israel's army said earlier it was on very, very high alert at its border with Lebanon as the leader of Islamist group Hezbollah broke his silence on the war. In a speech watched by thousands at a rally, Hassan Nasrallah praised the Hamas attacks on Israel on October 7, but said they were 100% Palestinian. Hezbollah, which is backed by Iran and considered a terrorist group in the UK and US, has been intensifying attacks on northern Israel from Lebanon. Israel has warned of unimaginable consequences if Hezbollah joins the Israel-Gaza war. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says more than 9,000 people have been killed in the Strip since October 7. Israel began bombing Gaza after Hamas killed more than 1,400 people in Israel and kidnapped more than 200 others. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.